And then for their next trick, they build the Countach.
Today we're going to look at the final iteration of the Lamborghini Countach. I looked previously and drove the LP400S, the blue car, so if you want to go check out that video, great car, very cool car, neat history. But today we've got the final iteration, the 1990 25th Anniversary Countach. So the Countach was a massive success for Lamborghini, starting in '74 and a whole ton of iterations. Periscope cars, LP400, LP400S, LP500, the 5000Q, all culminating in this 25th anniversary. They released this car at the 1988 Italian Grand Prix, unveiling the most radical Countach yet. So for the final iteration, the 25th anniversary, they needed to make a bunch of changes. They weren't ready to build the Diablo yet. So Lamborghini charged Horacio Pagani with redesigning this car. He was still an employee of Lamborghini at the time. A few of the most notable changes, obviously comfortable interior. They were kind of knocked on the early years for having very primitive interior, and as the years progressed, they needed to make the cars more and more comfortable to keep up with what the consumers wanted. Some of the most obvious changes for the 25th anniversary cars are these air boxes here. They kind of integrated them compared to the big jutting out ones on the 5000Q. They kind of lowered them, and then they painted these strakes the same body color instead of black, and they moved them longitudinally instead of horizontally, allowing way better airflow into the car. The other big obvious styling change was the addition of the rear bumper. They added this big rear bumper kind of floating here underneath the body, sticking out. And of course, for the time, they had to add license plate lights here. While we're here, we gotta look at these rear tires. They're just ridiculous. 345s, giant Pirellis on the car, all on a 15-inch wheel. 15-inch alloy wheel, 2 pieces, great looking wheels on these cars, but you know, kind of hilarious by today's standards that they're only 15s. So this car was a North American spec car, North American delivery, and one of the dead giveaways, although some guys didn't install them or pulled them off right away, is the big front bumper here. Kind of iconic, really, when you think about it on the 25th anniversary, in my mind anyways. This car was sold new to a guy who bought this car really as a showpiece and an investment. He hardly drove the car. It's got right around 1,000 kilometers on this thing, and as such, a perfect time capsule. Let me show you all the original stuff on this car and the lack of wear on this thing. One of the big things when you're looking for original paint on these cars is to see the texture here right above the engine. If you look here, you can really see all the texture here. So this car obviously still has the original tires on it, absolutely all of the tread, still a whole ton of the nipples. This thing is a complete time capsule. This guy hardly drove this car. One of the big telltale signs on these cars with super low mileage is looking at the interior wear. The interior doesn't lie. This driver's seat doesn't lie, and the pedals don't lie. It's still cool every time you open these scissor doors, and you've got to kind of get down low and climb in underneath the door. So you look at the seat here, a lot of these cars that were really beaten on, and a lot of these cars were beaten on. Guys bought these cars, they drove them hard, they put them away wet. This is certainly not one of these cars. There's zero wear on the sill here getting in, zero wear on the seat. It feels brand new. And then again, you look at the pedals. You can still read Lamborghini perfectly on all the pedals. They're brand new. Those are easy wear items to look at. Although certainly not a luxury car by today's standards, They really did refine the interior, made it a lot nicer than that LP400 that I drove. And they did things like adding power seats. You open up here, you've got 3 different buttons for the power seats here. And that's huge for a guy like me because the driving position, frankly, was a little bit awkward in those early cars. You know, your feet are relatively close to the pedals, which is good, but I'm at full lock right here. So I'm gonna have to squeak up, I'm gonna have to move the seat up here to get in a better driving position. This car has the power windows, but it's funny on these cars, the buttons are actually in reverse like you're driving a big rig. You press up for the window to go down and down for the window to go up. And the window doesn't move a whole lot. Check it out. That's all the way down. So when the guy took delivery of this car, a couple things he did differently. He didn't install the rear wing on the car. Now, the rear wing is synonymous with the 25th anniversary edition. Frankly, I kind of like it without the wing. You can see that it's never been drilled. And then you come down here, you can see the spot for the license plate. Again, never been drilled. This car is completely original. He didn't even put the license plate on the car. So we'll pop open the trunk and the rear lid. So you open it up here, and staring you right in the face is the giant 5.2 liter V12. Just a beautiful looking sight, mid-engine car. They got the thing rammed all the way forward, transmission all the way forward, trying to get a good balance in the car. 369 foot-pounds of torque, 449 horsepower, but in the heaviest iteration of the Countach, 3,500 pounds. Don't worry, the car still goes. So close that. And then, you know, even a rear mid-engine car, you've still got your trunk in the back. A decent amount of space. The only thing in the trunk here is the original tool roll, you know, just brand new. Let's pull this thing out. The complete original tool roll. You got your jack, some pliers, some screwdrivers. This thing has to be one of the best original 25th anniversary cars. Let's close up the doors and take it for a drive. You know, as you get in here and you open up the doors, the weather stripping on the car, it's like it just came out of the factory. Super soft, absolutely no damage. Just a spectacular car. All right, let's fire this thing up. Reaching all the way forward here. Such a wide car. Like the boot on this shifter is brand new. You can hear it squeak when I'm shifting gears. Going up through the gears, and frankly, at low RPM here right now, I'm very much surprised at how responsive the throttle is and how responsive the car is compared to that LP400S that I drove. You know, that really wanted to be at crazy high RPM for the car to work at all. This car works at low RPM and it pulls at low RPM. Wind it out a little bit. Oh my goodness, does that sound good? Oh.
almost the same, really, performance as the 5,000 cars. 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds. Top speed of 189 miles an hour. Oh yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable car. Wow. You know, I always liked the look, and most guys will agree, the periscope cars, the LP400s, the 400S. But as far as driving this car, hands down, this is the Countach you want. You know, I didn't think I'd be this impressed with this car. You know, I've driven one before, but this is a different car entirely compared to the LP400 as far as the driving experience goes. Just beautiful. Turn the wheel, the car goes exactly where you want it to go. You know, every time I get in one of these things, it's just so futuristic. Like, you're looking out the side window here. It's like you're in a spaceship. I think with the LP400, I said, you know, it's like you're in a Philip K. Dick novel. And everyone in the comments like that. You know, I was thinking specifically of the 3 Stigmata of Palmer Eldridge. For sure. Lots of space travel in that one. And on these backcountry roads, you don't need 4th and 5th gear. You know, maybe if you're cruising, but you get plenty of mile an hour out of 3rd gear. Big blip, beautifully into 2nd, into 1st. And again, guys complain about no power steering. It's not like there's a whole ton of caster in the car. You can steer it just fine. Frankly, it gives you an unbelievable feel at speed. You know, there's no nonsense between you and the front tires. The feel is right at your fingertips. The driving position, again, it's okay. You know, with the power seats, it's nice. I can move the seat up. I can actually adjust how my thighs sit on there. But, again, I'm not going to complain. And unlike the LP400S, I don't feel the bumps in the steering wheel and the steering column as much. Again, this car is so much more refined, but it doesn't lose any of the, you know, the drivability factor or the Lamborghini experience. Don't worry, it's not that refined. Get on the brakes. The car stops really well. You know, I don't think you want to take this car out to the track and really beat on it. One, how valuable it is. Two, you're going to use up some pretty rare parts. But as far as just going out for a cruise, beautiful car to do that in. And the car just responds instantly when you step on the gas. You know, this car is fast. Downshift, big blip, pull it over here. Not a great turning radius, but you know, race cars don't have a great turning radius. That never gets old, getting out from under one of these doors. Oh, sweating a little bit. You know, it's a hot day here, and I'm so surprised, pleasantly surprised, at how cool the car ran. You know, sitting there, letting it idle in the heat. This is a great car to just go driving in, you know, no matter where you live. You know, again, I think I said it in the car, just the MO on building these cars was that they were going to be more refined, more luxurious, you know, a lot more creature comforts than the earlier iterations of the Countach, and they certainly did that. You know, the interior is nice. The driving experience is still a seriously raw driving experience, but it doesn't feel rattly like some of the earlier cars. You know, you don't feel every bump in the steering column, you don't feel every bump in your feet, but you get an immediate response for every input you give. Throttle response is there. It was a real treat to drive this thing. Getting to drive this car today is as close as I'll ever get to getting to drive one of these cars when they were new. One, I wasn't even born yet, but two, this car is absolutely perfect. You know, right around 1,000 kilometers on the car. Like I was saying, the boot in the shifter still squeaks with the brand new rubber. This is exactly the experience you would have had driving one of these cars out of the showroom. You know, and for that reason, you look at price guides on some of this stuff, this car is going to bring, you know, head and shoulders above that simply because of the quality and the originality. You know, the car is brand new as it left the showroom. I'm fired up about this thing. So, now we've got to ask ourselves, do you need a car like this? No, no one needs a car like this. No one needs a 25th anniversary edition Lamborghini Countach with 1,000 kilometers on it. But do you want a car like this? I'll tell you what, most people like these cars for the poster effect, how wild these cars are, how radical these cars look, how good they look. But after driving this thing, that's the reason you want a car like this, absolutely.